This video is to show you how to put an invisible zipper, like this, into a pillow or a zipper pouch. I'm working with one that's fairly small to make it easy to see on the video, but it can really be any size. And generally you want to choose a zipper that is longer than you need, and I'll show you why as we go through the process. It's always easy to shorten the zipper when you're all done and make it exactly the right length. So the first step is going to be to decide what you want the bottom edge for your zipper to be, and then you're going to sew the three other sides here like this. And typically these three sides are sewn with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you're going to sew each side as a separate seam. So don't try to like pivot on the corners. Go all the way down and backstitch, and all the way down and backstitch using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So you can see now this has been sewn on three sides. The edge where the zipper is going to be sewn has been left open for the moment, and I've backstitched on each corner using a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. So the next thing you want to do is zigzag stitch these three edges to keep them from unraveling. If you don't zigzag them, the edges are just going to fray and fray and fray. So you're going to zigzag all three sides, and then you're going to come back and you're going to zigzag each side where the zipper goes, zigzagging this individually. So when you do the zigzag stitch, the goal is to have the needle go just off the edge of the fabric and then onto the fabric as it zigzags back and forth. So each time the needle is going to the right, it should actually just miss the edge of the fabric. So each machine has a way that you can adjust your width and your length for your stitches. For this particular example, I'm keeping a width of somewhere between 4 and 5 and a length of like 2, like that. And we're going to be zigzagging all along those three sides that I showed you. Next, we're going to zigzag on the edges where the zipper goes. We're going to zigzag each one of these sides individually. So when you do this, you want to make sure that you're keeping the seam allowance free. You don't want to catch it in a zigzag. So you're going to position it right about like this, again making sure that the needle is going off the edge of the fabric when it goes to the right and on the fabric when it goes to the left. Just wrap that edge with stitching. Now that I've got my edges zigzagged and I've got the area prepared for where the zipper is going to go, I'm going to sew just a little bit, about 1 inch on each corner to create a clean corner. So you can measure with your ruler 1 inch, and you want to measure it so you're about a 1/2 inch from the seam allowance here. And I find it's helpful to draw yourself a line so you can see where you're going to stitch like that. You can either use, a marker or a chalk, whatever works well. So just measuring 1 inch and marking that. It should be about a 1/2 inch away from the seam allowance. I'm using both chalk and a marker in this example so that it's easier to see. So I've got that measured out here and here. Now I'm back to a regular straight stitch, and I'm just going to sew these short little distances that I marked, making sure to do a good little back stitch at the end on each one. Just like this. Okay, so you're going to fit the zipper in the space that you have between the two stitches here. You want to put it with a slider face down, and you want the slider to come right up against where your stitches are ending there. And the edge of the zipper tape here should line up just beneath your zigzag stitching. You want to see a little bit of the fabric peeking out there. And you're going to pin it on like this, trying to keep the whole thing nice and straight all the way along, like that. And you're going to stop your pins when you get to the place where your other stitching is here, right there. So after you've got it pinned on, you're going to start not right up here where the zipper slider is, but a little bit down so it doesn't get in the way of your zipper foot. So you've changed your presser foot to the zipper foot, and you're going to place it on right like this, just abutting. The zipper slider is just abutting that part of the zipper foot like that. And you're going to back stitch and sew a straight stitch all the way down to the place where your stitches end. After you've got that first part sewn, then you're going to open up the zipper slider and come back and get this section that you couldn't reach before, from the top to where your stitches began before. So you can pin this if you want to, but usually you can do it without pinning, because it's only, you know, about 1.5 inches or 2 inches or so, just right from here to the place where you started before. So now you're going to sew the other side of the zipper to your pillow or your pouch. I marked with chalk here the place where these stitches end, so you can see more clearly where to begin. And you want to position it just like you did before, with a little, like the edge of the zipper tape is just abutting the bottom of the zigzag, and you have just a small amount of the fabric. It's a little bit less than 1/4 inch sticking out here on the edge. So it can be helpful to pin this down. You're only going to sew about 2/3 of this. And on my example, my piece is pretty small. I'm just going to sew from the chalk mark here right to about where my slider is. And then I'm going to move my slider. Okay, so I've sewn that little bit, trimming my threads as I go. And now I'm going to open up my slider. And I'm going to open it up so it can go all the way out of the way. And this is where it's helpful to have a zipper that's longer than you need, because you can push the zipper all the way out of the way here. I'm opening it up, and then when I get to the end, sometimes I have to kind of tuck it from this way here to get it to go back through. So it takes a little wiggling, but you're just going to pull the zipper slider back through this way so you can open it up all the way. And now you're going to come and sew this part from where the chalk mark is, where the stitches end, all the way to get the rest of it along here. So you're sewing the other side of the zipper all the way down. The next phase of this, to make this zipper really invisible, the goal is to put a line of stitches right up in this little kind of flat zone right next to the zipper teeth. You don't want to hit the teeth, but you want to be in this little kind of crease, or this little area right near the zipper teeth. And sometimes it helps to iron the zipper a little bit open and flat to get up in there. But again, with the zipper slider out of the way, you can either try it without ironing or you can iron it. You're going to come and stitch right along here on both sides. So I'm going to do this in white so you can see the stitches more clearly and see how you're just right up here, right up next to the edge of the zipper here. Sometimes it helps to use your finger to sort of roll the zipper open a little bit to get the stitches in that spot. Okay, one side, you're going to repeat the same thing with the other side. Again, just trying to get right up close to the edge of the zipper, not hitting the zipper teeth, but right up in this area right here. All right, after that's done on both sides, you can zip the zipper up here. And don't close it all the way so you still have some room to turn your pillow or your pouch inside out. And you can sew across this place right here to create a stopper for the zipper. For that, I find it helpful to switch back to a regular presser foot. And then you can cut off the excess. At this stage, you can turn it inside out, and it should be done.